Hello, my name is David Frederick from Marcus Bishop Associates. We are chartered firm of accountants. However, we do all things accountants do, but we specialise in helping clients sleep safe at night. That means, for example, those clients who have tax headaches on property, we help them address those as well too. We also help clients build, preserve and transfer their assets to the next generation tax efficiently. And the third thing we like to do nowadays is we help blended families avoid explosions by making sure they plan for the future, because what we say is important to people is live for today but plan for tomorrow. And how they do so is making sure they have one of these in place and it's reviewed regularly. That's called a will. So that's what we do in a nutshell. We help clients sleep at night and we help clients have a happy future. Well, the biggest challenge we face nowadays in our business, like most businesses, I think is really cybersecurity and the threat of fraud, because every day we need to make sure we're on top of our game, because fraudsters need to be lucky once, but we need to be lucky all the time. The second thing that concerns us is the speed of change of technology and digitalisation in the marketplace. That's very important because things have changed so rapidly. We need to make sure we're constantly on top of our game. And the other thing I think that's important for us in our business and at the challenges, sustainability, the future. It's changing, and like I tell clients and the team, the key that opened yesterday's door won't unlock tomorrow's door. So those are the main things we think we're threatened by in our business at the moment in time. Number one being cybersecurity, sustainability, and also the rapid change that's happening in the environment as well too, and the business sector. Any young person want to start in accountancy or the world of finance generally, they need to make sure they have a passion. It's something they want to do, and also as well too, they're prepared and want to help people, because the glitz and glamour that you think about the sector, it's not all there. The real excitement is about helping people solve problems, either a tax drama, help them sleep at night better, also helping people unravel their finances to ensure they get the most from their finances. The second thing they need to be aware of, it's a long haul, so they must want to do it and also have passion in their stomach for the fight, rather than in it for the money. If you're in it for the money, it's not the place for you. It's all about passion and also the enjoyment and helping people. The byword is helping people and having the right attitude as well too. That's so important. I think the entry skills you require qualification to start an accountancy in 2024, I must say it must be the AAT, the Association of Accounting Technicians. There's a 4-level qualifications from level 1 to level 4, and it starts with learning the rudimentary bookkeeping and you working your way up. And once you've acquired those core skills, you can diversify yourself into going further in accountancy with either the ACCA or ICAW or CIMA as well too. Or you can go breadth-wise and into taxation. That's the Chartered Taxation Examinations or the Association of Tax Advisors as well too. Those are the routes for you. Alternatively, you may want to start teaching finance if you don't want to, but the starting point in accountancy must be the AAT. In terms of estate planning, I think you want to be thinking about joining one of the professional bodies for wills, either the Society of Will Writers or the Institute of Professional Will Writers. There you get grounding in the wills sector. Fortunately for me, I'm a member of both, because I'm that way inclined in terms of qualifications and exams and making sure I understand the sector well. Moreover, I think too, once you've started in that era, you want to think about going towards the step qualification. That will also help you and enhance your reputation and professionalism in the sector as well too. The key thing is though, don't be afraid about learning, because you don't learn and pass exams and stop. Every day you're learning, because it's a sector that's always moving like most things. Be prepared to continue to be improving, continue to be learning as you go along. The biggest hurdle I encountered those many years ago when I started my business, as always for most people, is to find clients. How do you get clients? You're skilled, you're qualified, how do you get clients? And how I overcame that is to start going back into my networks, people who I knew, and also going out and becoming involved in groups and organisations, and not being afraid to letting people know what you do. Share to them that I'm doing this, and do you know anybody who needs my services? So it's about meeting people, speaking to people, and letting them know what you're doing. But moreover, relying on the quality of your circles. Which groups you belong to, which clubs you go to, sports club, faith groups, old work colleagues, family and friends. But don't rely, I would say, purely on family and friends. Look wider than that and look primarily at your inner circle, or I say your outer circle, those circle of influences that you belong to, because that's where it will come from as well too. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, because nothing grows in your comfort zone. If I could collaborate with any business in the world, what I would say it's got to be Microsoft and or Apple. Why? Because everybody knows about them, everybody uses them, so therefore they provided us with a nice segue into the marketplace, because I'm sure that out there, everybody out there will need our services. We can help people live for today and plan for tomorrow, because we know so many people who may have PCs, who may have an Apple Mac, don't have a will, a lasting power of attorney. And also, if they're in business, they might have an account as well too. So with those two brand names, they've opened the door for us into the rooms and pockets and hearts of their loyal members. So we're on their backs. Well, the top 3 mistakes I think young people make with their taxes is, first of all, not taking time to understand the taxes like most people. But I will say they don't budget. Budget is very important, because you need to know not where your money's going to, but where it's coming from. Yeah, first of all. Then once you know where your money's coming from, where it's going to, do plan and set out a strategy for your funds, and don't just spend and think there's no tomorrow, because you must also move on to the next phase, and that is save for a rainy day. So you need to plan, separate your funds out between your must-spend money, your essentials and your non-essentials, and save for a rainy day. That's important. And also, don't be afraid to seek advice. Before you jump into something, seek advice from someone you know, because it's often cheaper to pay on the way in than pay on the way out. Because once you've jumped in, it can cost you much more to untangle yourself from your financial hurdles, like jumping on to have lots of those wonderful credit cards. As a freelancer, the best way to handle your taxes is, first of all, seek advice before you start. Speak to a professional. And I would say, when you start out, don't go and see an accountant, which may seem perverse to you, but speak to a bookkeeper. Because a bookkeeper will be the first one you will have with the accountancy world. And they will help you set up your books in the right way and as well too. And sometimes they may be a bit less expensive than an accountant. But you need to understand what you need to do when you start receiving money and when you start doing work for clients as well too. That's the most important thing for someone who's a freelancer. And also begin to understand the timelines, the things you have to do by when. Because when you start out, there are end of year accounts, end of year taxes, how you take money out as well too. So making sure you have a diary of key events that happens throughout the year. So as a sole trader, you might be already aware of January the 31st deadline. That's fine, but let's work back from that deadline. And the first thing to understand is the deadline is April the 5th, because that's when the year ends. And going back from that, the year starts at April the 6th. So you need to know, you need to record things between April the 6th of one year, April the 5th of next year. You also need to be aware that you need to submit your records to HMRC by January the 31st. However, I would advocate not then. So again, have a diary, speak to an advisor, preferably a bookkeeper would help you, or your accountant, and record activities in the way that's best possible for yourself. Some of the key expenses that businesses might be missing out when they start out, I would say the first one is pensions. Involving a pension, because a pension is an easy win. It's money you're putting aside for the future, but as soon as you put money into a pension scheme, you get a government uplift as well too, so it's an easy return. So a pension is a must for you to start out with. So put money aside for a pension. Also as well too, for business people, think about your travel expenses, especially if you're a sole trader. You might be using your own car or vehicle. Well, that is an expense you need to record and do it properly. Keep records of your business mileage as well too, so you can claim those expenses. And also as well, once you're claiming the mileage as well too, you might also claim a proportion of your car use as well too, based on your mileage. The other item of expenditure you should be thinking about, you might be able to claim, is subsistence. You might go out to meet clients or see people at meetings, and whilst you're out there, you might grab a lunch or a bite. Those are expenses you're incurring during the course of business. Although they're small expenses, they're overlooked. Remember, you look after the pennies, they look after themselves. So start by looking at the simple things in your business as well too. Those are main expenses you should be looking at for yourself. So pension straight away, also your mileage, and your subsistence. Those are key things as well too. And there's small expenses like work from home, but they're quite small, but they're also important. So it's everything that you incur in your business, understand it is an allowable expense. A big mistake to avoid when you start investing is just invest blindly. Don't research into the company you're investing in. Yeah, you're researching blindly. Also, try and understand the business of the actual company you're investing in as well too, because like investing blindly, if you don't understand the business model, you would actually make a loss and suffer pain as well too. And remember, you should never invest money or more money than you can afford to lose, because as stocks and shares go up or investment goes up, they can come down. So you should never be prepared to invest more than you're prepared to lose. So therefore, always think about it this way: set a cap which we can invest. And it might be prudent to start out with investing a small amount, and as time goes by, increase it. Yeah, and also review your investments. The third thing people don't do is they don't seek advice. It's imperative to understand and seek advice on investments regularly as well too. So therefore, you're feeding your mind from different sources to understand how your investments are doing as well too, and review your investments, how they're performing, and don't be afraid to chop and change as well too. The main credit card myths people think about, they say, oh, 2%, it's not a lot of money. Well, 2% may not be a lot of money, but don't forget, credit cards and interest rates are compound rates. As it's been said before, okay, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And people need to realise that 2% per month is not 24% per annum. It's actually 26.8 APR per annum. So therefore, you can understand it may be a small amount, but it does mount up. Also as well, it's not free money, because if you don't pay off all your credit card balance at the end of the period, it's added up as well too. It's been compounded. So only use your credit card as an emergency. It's not part of your money as well too. Don't think it's money you can use free will willy-nilly, because you'll be paying for it quite expensively. So if in doubt, keep it out. 3 things people should know about wills and probate. The first is they must actually make a will, and they must also have lasting power of attorney. That's important, because if they don't have a will, their estate won't go to where they want to go to. The most important thing about a will though, is having made a will, it's not the end of the story, because things happen, things change. You need to make sure you review your will as life changes. For example, if you've made a will, and you've made a will before you knew you were going to get married, and you now get married, your will is now null and void. So therefore, after getting married, you will then make a new will. So it's important to make a will, also to make sure you review that will, and also as well to make sure someone knows where your will is stored. So it's advisable to have your will stored in a safe place that can be retrieved when you pass away. Because there's nothing worse than thinking your loved one's made a will, but nobody knows where that will is. Because sadly in the UK, there is no statutory register of wills, whereas for lasting powers of attorney, there's a natural place for those of the public guardian. But with wills, there is none. So making sure you make a will, you review a will, and at least your executors or members know where your will is, or at least a copy of it, they can track it down. That's so important. Lots of people, when they make their will, often think about only their financial assets, their bank account, their savings, Some now think about their digital assets, their Facebook account or online account. And some people only think about their human family members. What about your pets? Yeah? What about Rover or Flossie the cat? What would happen to those animals when you're not here as well too? So it might be worthwhile including in your will a statement as to who you wish to look after your pets as well too. In the same way you have in your will, if you've got children, a guardian, you might want to give some consideration who looks after good old Rover. He's been with you for 10 years or thereabouts, or one called Flossie as well too. Or recently, I was told by an individual, whoever inherits a house, look after the fishes as well too. So don't forget, our pets are also somebody worth looking after as well too. When we're not here, they too need caring for. So don't forget our pets. The question is, what happens if I die without a will? Will everything go to your parents? Well, the answer is really no, because if you die without a will, the rule of intestacy steps in, and the starting point is, in that case, were you married or not married? Because that's starting point. Also, it asks, if you're not married, do you have children? And therefore, the rule of intestacy takes a structured legal process. So if you haven't got a will, the set rules laid down determines where your assets go to. And sometimes the assets will go to people you haven't planned for. So you can avoid this happening by always making a will, because the decisions when you're not here may not be your decisions, but by then it's too late. So the advice is be proactive today rather than tomorrow. Do not procrastinate. There's a cost for procrastination. It may not go to where you want it to go. Your debts when you pass away don't just die with you, and the good news is they don't pass on to your loved ones you left behind. Because when you pass away, you have an estate. That's the things that you own and the things that you owe. So therefore, if you have any debts, your debts will be charged to your actual estate, your assets. For example, you may pass away and you may have £3,000 credit card debt. It's not a problem, because if you have assets, you may have, let's say, some savings. That money will be used towards those debts as well too. So your heirs need not be worried about your debts in the future, because your debts will be charged to your estate and they will be responsible for them, unless of course they are joint debts. If they're joint debts, yes, quite rightly so, they will fall under the surviving party. But their individual debts, they will go to the estate, and the estate will be responsible for discharging those debts on your demise. If you have no assets and so forth, you're in that position whereby it goes. Unfortunately, you've died insolvent, and therefore your estate has no money, and you're one of the few people, lucky people, therefore the state will pick up a tab and it's written off. But very few people really die insolvent, because they will have something they can try and sell or make some return on to repay off their debts and so forth. I think 3 simple tips for today is making sure you understand where the money you receive is going to, and also the money you're spending. Sometimes it's worthwhile and analysing and examining where your money's going to see which money you're paying out you don't need to pay out. So making sure you are on firm ground for the current position. Then start planning for the future. And that involves 2 things. Starting by saving. Start saving a little bit often into a savings account. Then as you go along, you might want to start thinking about investing for the longer term. Also for the future as well too, start putting aside or planning to have in place a will, because we all know it's going to be inevitable for us. So put aside a will, because you want to make sure that which you've acquired goes to those who you love and not to those who don't know, like, care, or love you. So think about that as well too. In addition to a will as well too, I think it's very important as well nowadays to think about what might happen if you can't speak for yourself in the future. And by that I mean if you lose capacity, and therefore put in place a lasting power of attorney. So the key things you need to be thinking about for yourself at the moment is making sure you understand you're financially sound today, so know where your income is going to, and making sure you're not spending money out on things you don't really need, those ongoing standing orders, direct debits. Also, have in place a will for the inevitable, and in between that, have a lasting power of attorney just in case you lose capacity in between. If any of you are not sure about anything I've discussed so far about your wills, estate, trust, feel free to come and see us. We will speak to you, a free consultation to understand where you are at and help you put in motion what is best for you, because as we keep saying to people, live for today, but you must plan for tomorrow. Therefore, life will be much easier for you and your loved ones, because there's nothing worse than you living for today and not planning for tomorrow, and when you depart, your affairs are in a muddle or in a mess. It's more costly for your loved ones, who are also managing the actual loss of yourself. Equally so, it's important to start thinking seriously about what will happen if you can't speak or make decisions for yourself. As we saw during COVID, it was a wake-up call for us. Nobody knows tomorrow, and it's a great myth to believe that a lasting power of attorney is only for old people or elderly people or senior people. Everybody should have a lasting power of attorney, because anybody can walk outside and get hit by a bus or a car or return to the vegetable state. So do think it's important to start planning from now for tomorrow. The call to action from the expo is really for people to actually leave the expo different from how they come in, i.e. start to think now about your future. As I said before, it's about living for today but planning for tomorrow. So keep asking people, who will speak for you tomorrow if you can't speak for yourself? Also, tomorrow when you're not here, where will your assets go? So do start to think about the inevitable. The things which are going to happen, you'll pass away, sadly, we all will, but also the thing that may happen if you lose capacity. If you're not able to speak for yourself tomorrow, who will do so? And understand the difference between your next of kin and also your power of attorney. They're two different things. So it's important that people start to remember, you must always live for today, but plan for tomorrow. And therefore, those are the key things to start thinking about. Making sure how you leave the expo is quite different from how you started in your mindset. My name is David Frederick, and I'm from Marcus Bishop Associates.